Is my cat fat? Hi, I'm Melissa Fogel, DVM, and today we're going to talk about cat obesity. Maybe you went to the vet and they told you your cat is overweight, or maybe they even told you your cat is fat. And now you're trying to understand, where do I go? What do I do? Our first place to check in is with a tool called the Body Condition Score Chart. And this is a chart that allows us to understand how overweight an animal is. We need to know where we're starting in terms of understanding where we're trying to end up. There's two different kinds of body condition score charts. There's one that scales between 1 and 5, with 1 being emaciated and 5 being obese. And there's another that uses a 1 through 9 scale. I like the 1 through 9 scale a lot better. So how the scale works is that 1 is emaciated, 9 is morbidly obese, 4 and 5 are normal, 4 being kind of like really, really ideal, and 5 being maybe the upper end of ideal, but still within the normal range. Below a 4, we're going into being underweight, and above a 5, we're going into being overweight. And every increment above 5 represents 10% extra body weight. So a 6 is 10% overweight, a 7 is 20% overweight, and so forth. On the low end of the body condition score chart, we've got the underweight animals. This is where we're going to see the rib cage being visible, the spinal column being prominent, the hip bones being prominent, and we don't want any of our animals to be in that end of the body condition score chart. And as an aside, it's probably a little more common for us to see underweight cats than underweight dogs, just because of some of the diseases that cats can get. If you ever have a cat that's rapidly losing weight, then you need to seek veterinary care for that. So as we go up on the body condition score chart, because that's really where we're focusing on today, what we're going to see in terms of changes to the animal's shape is that when they are viewed from above, they're adopting more of a teardrop or kind of pear shape, where the rear area is starting to become wider and more prominent. And when viewed from the side, they're looking almost like a jelly bean with legs. Once we know where our pet is on the body condition score chart, that allows us to understand how overweight they are. What target weight are we aiming for? And then that in turn allows us to understand how much should we be feeding our cats. Middle-aged obese cats have 2.7 times the mortality rate of a cat that's maintaining a normal weight. And if we get even 10% off of them, we're reducing their risk of diabetes, and we're making them feel better and be able to be more mobile. Now that we know where our cat is on the body condition score chart, and now that we know how overweight they are, this allows us to determine what's their ideal weight and how many calories should they eat in order to obtain that weight. So there's a really great resource that I like to use a lot. It's called the Pet Nutrition Alliance. And you can select if you're working with a dog or a cat, and then you put in their current weight, what their body condition score is, and then it will in turn tell you what is their target ideal weight and how many calories do they need to eat per day to get there. Now we come into the tricky part, which is how do we facilitate getting that number of calories into our cat? They typically would be hunting multiple times a day. They would eat several small meals. They're not going to have a 100% success rate. So on some attempts to grab a mouse or a bird, they're going to miss. They burned calories on that miss. 10 pieces of kibble has approximately the same calorie content is 1 mouse. And just with that sentence, you can start seeing here's where we're starting to get into trouble with our cats. Because how do we typically feed our cats? Generally, oftentimes, we have a large bowl of never-ending kibble that they can approach whenever they want. And you can see where very quickly they're going to be ingesting way more calories than they would have if they had been allowed to engage in their normal hunting practices. There is a feeding system. You would have to train the cat to be used to it first before you completely relied on it. This has been referred to as a no bowl feeding system. There are little fake mice, and you put only a small portion of their food in each mouse, and you hide the mice through maybe not too hard hide, but hide them throughout the house, and throughout the day, the cat can go and hunt for these mice. This gets them moving. It gets them using their brain. For cats that really have a strong prey drive, sometimes they can have some behavioral problems. They can start having issues where they're pouncing on the owner, trying to stalk or hunt the owner. Sometimes it can actually become pretty problematic, and this can steer them away from that. Now they've got an outlet for that kind of energy and engagement. Naturally, they're not going to be able to just nosedive into a bowl of kibble if they're using this kind of an approach. Another approach that could be used would be to feed them strictly canned food. Canned food has 75 to 85% water per mouthful, whereas dry food has 10% water per mouthful. So already a cat's naturally going to start filling up a little more quickly on canned food as opposed to dry food. That extra water in the canned food can have an additional benefit. If your pet happens to have certain urinary issues, oftentimes one of the first things that's recommended is to put them on a strictly canned food diet, because it's a way of just naturally the cat's going to take in more water. They can't avoid it or help it at that point. It's in their diet and they're taking it in. So it can have that benefit as well. Another tactic that can be used is a food puzzle. This would also serve to an extent kind of the same idea as the little mice that they can hunt. But the food puzzle, I think, would be more feasible if you happen to have dogs in your house as well. I have 2 cats and a dog. I don't think that the little mice that I fill with food would work well in my household, because I think my dog would find them too, and that would pose a lot of problems. A food puzzle, however, again, it gets the cat away from kind of just nose diving into that dish and not having any kind of physical or mental engagement in the feeding process. Then now they have to work a little bit at how they're obtaining their food. It takes some mental stimulation. So again, if there are some behavioral issues, that can help a lot. And it's going to slow down their pace of eating as well. There's a wide variety of food puzzles out there. There are ones that are made for beginner cats. There are ones that are made for advanced cats. There are food puzzles for canned food. So if you want your cat to eat strictly canned food, but you also want them to have the benefit of a food puzzle, there are food puzzles that are made for canned food. And there's also little do-it-yourself craft projects that you can use for food puzzles. And those can be fun if you have a young child and maybe they even kind of want to get involved. It can be just kind of gather up some household items and you can create something fun for your cat. One thing that should be mentioned, however, there's no crash dieting in the world of cats. Overweight cats, when they don't eat enough calories, are susceptible to a very dangerous condition. It's called hepatic lipidosis. This is a situation where they have a lot of body fat, hence they're overweight. Now they're not eating enough calories. They start to mobilize that body fat as an energy source. That fat goes to the liver to be broken down and turned into usable energy, but too much is mobilized at once, and it really can affect the liver, and they can be hospitalized. It's a very serious condition. So in terms of determining how many calories your cat should be eating, it's definitely a good idea to be doing this in conjunction with your veterinarian, because you want to make sure that you haven't set your target inappropriately low, that you didn't way overestimate your cat's body condition score and now you're aiming lower than you should. I hope that you found today's discussion informative. I hope that you found something that can help you and help you foster your relationship with your cat and help you provide better care for your cat. If you like what you heard today and you want to continue to hear more or have more opportunities to learn, please select the like and subscribe. And if there's something specific that you would like to learn about your pet, cats and dogs both, that will facilitate your care or just your broader education, leave it in the comments. We're always checking that, and we're excited to see what people would like to hear about and see what information we can provide. Thank you for watching.